Our story begins inside of the Jedi Temple after Yoda has returned from his adventures to Dagobah, Moraband, and to visit the Wills and learning the path to immortality from Qui Gon. Yoda was meditating on everything that happened, and outside of his office, Yoda could suddenly feel Anakin's presence. The boy was hurrying off to the hangar to begin a new mission deep in the Outer Rim, and Yoda now remembered the first time that he ever felt Qui Gon's presence. It came before the war, and when it happened, Yoda felt Anakin through the Force. But that day, Anakin felt unlike ever before. His explosions of anger and pain erupted like a volcano in the Force, and Yoda heard Qui-Gon's voice. The Chosen One felt terrible that day, and Yoda had never inquired on exactly what happened. He left it to Anakin's master to help his Padawan. But suddenly, Yoda had a different idea. He was trusting Obi-Wan to do what was right with Anakin, but now Yoda wondered what if Anakin's original master, Qui-Gon, could still have some training to do with young Skywalker. So Yoda would meditate for hours upon hours, trying to find Qui-Gon in the Force, asking if Anakin can learn to speak with him. And finally, the voice of Qui-Gon came to Yoda, only to say that when the time is right for Anakin to learn this power, Yoda will know. So, the Grand Master would drop out of meditation, and the galaxy continued with war for many more long months. And now, we flash forward to just before the Battle of Coruscant, as Grandmaster Yoda is meditating, contemplating the state of the galaxy. When he heard the Sith have returned, Yoda simply couldn't believe it. That was so long ago, over a decade now. They just couldn't have come out of nowhere. It made no sense. But after fighting Dooku on Geonosis, Yoda began to understand what many young Jedi may think he is naive to. What most Jedi failed to understand, and what Yoda was only now beginning to realize, was that the growth of the dark side was unstoppable. It had been festering all these years. And now, it can only be reversed by the one born to restore balance. The prophecy of the Chosen One always felt strange to believe in. But with Qui-Gon being the one to discover the boy, and learn the secret to immortality, Yoda had to reconsider the prophecy, and he realized it could all be true. All of it. And now, Yoda considered another possibility, one that was extremely scary to consider. In self-exile for 1,000 years, the Sith had not merely been waiting for an appropriate time to re-emerge and exact revenge, but instead, they waited for the birth of one strong enough to embrace the dark side fully and become its dedicated instrument. Perhaps that was Sidious, but perhaps it was Skywalker. Yoda knew Skywalker could be the key to everything. The mystery of the Sith was closing in on them, yet Yoda felt like it was the Jedi who were in danger. But before he could continue his meditations, the attack on Coruscant would commence, and of course, Anakin would hit his new power level, killing Count Dooku, which both saddened Yoda and gave him hope that perhaps this war was ending. Perhaps Skywalker would find some peace in helping it end. But Anakin would soon feel more helpless than ever when he had nightmares about Padme that very night. And so the morning after, Yoda would know the time is right when Anakin came to him with questions about the Force and about the future that Yoda thought required a more personal answer. And Obi-Wan was not exactly fit for the magnitude of these questions. Anakin was clearly in a delicate spot, and so Yoda told Anakin to meditate with him. Together, they will find what Anakin looks for. Anakin didn't quite know what Yoda was hoping to accomplish here, but he accepted this, sinking into meditation with the Grand Master, feeling deep into the Force, connecting with Yoda as the Grand Master called out for something or someone. And eventually, Anakin heard a voice from the past. Qui-Gon. The voice told Yoda he has done well in understanding when the time was right, and now he will speak with Anakin alone. And when Anakin opened his eyes once again, he was no longer in the Jedi Temple. Instead, he was on Tatooine, late at night, sitting in front of a warm fire. Anakin looked around, seeing nothing but empty sand for miles in every direction. But the sounds of Tusken Raiders chanting, screaming, fighting echoed in the distance. And then, Anakin heard the sounds of pod racers zooming by, the voices of his mother, of Qui-Gon, Watto, Padme, until Qui-Gon somehow sat across from him. Anakin stuttered before asking how they got here, and Qui-Gon chuckled, saying it's not real. This is an illusion in Anakin's mind, and he is still meditating in the temple. It's a manifestation of his memories on a planet he remembers more than any other one. Anakin could not believe it. This all felt so real, and Qui-Gon revealed that one of the reasons he spoke with Yoda was to eventually connect with Anakin. He's been watching him for a long time, but as the years have passed, it has been harder to sort through the Force. The Sith have a powerful grip on the Force, but because Skywalker is the chosen one, and Qui-Gon has learned the power of immortality, their strength of their connection will allow for a meeting like this once in a while. Qui-Gon said they may not have much time, so he asked Anakin what is troubling him, and Anakin took a deep breath, then told Qui-Gon he's been having dreams. Nightmares, similar but different to what they are doing now. The nightmares are of someone close to him dying, but Anakin said he knows he can prevent it from coming true. He has to. He will do whatever it takes. Qui-Gon smiled, then said he has little doubt of that, but others may have the same intuition as him. Anakin asked what he means, and Qui-Gon told Anakin he doesn't always believe in chance or coincidence. The Sith will soon reveal themselves, and the Force is responding to the Sith by showing the vulnerable Force users their worst fears, and the Sith may be exploiting those fears. Anakin asked who the Sith is, and Qui-Gon said they are out of time. The Force will not allow him to show Anakin the future or any answers, only guide him in the right direction. He told Anakin to please talk to Obi-Wan. He's suffered more loss than Anakin knows. He can help with more than just saber training. Anakin said he will, and Qui-Gon faded away, as Anakin soon awoke back in the Jedi Temple. Yoda was still here, and he asked Anakin if he would please come to the council chambers with him. Anakin asked how long it's been, and Yoda said it's already late afternoon. Anakin was in meditation for hours, and the council has received a special request from the office of the Chancellor, and it involves Anakin. Anakin looked shocked, but he followed Yoda up to the council room, and when everyone was gathered, Windu informed Anakin that he missed a meeting with the Chancellor, but they still have received his report. Windu looked to everyone before saying that Palpatine has requested for a personal representative to his office with a seat on this council, and he has requested for it to be Anakin. The young Jedi was shocked by this. He said he didn't know what to say. Anakin looked over to a proud Master Kenobi, but then Windu said that they grant for Anakin to join the council, but he is not but Yoda jumped in, overriding Windu, welcoming Anakin to the council as Master Skywalker. Yoda decided that if the Force deemed Anakin important and worthy enough to speak with Qui-Gon, then it is only right that he earn the same respect in these chambers. Windu was caught off guard by this, but he wasn't going to protest with Yoda, and so the group ignited their blades, ceremoniously promoting Anakin to the role of Master. Typically, the council would come together to make a decision like this as a group, but Yoda decided this was a special circumstance, and Skywalker was now promoted to Master. Anakin happily took a seat, and was truly grateful for everything that was happening. The meeting continued on, and the mission to Kashyyyk became an important question here. When Mundi brought it up, Yoda considered taking the mission himself. He had good relations with the Wookiees, and it could be wise to leave Coruscant, draw out the Sith, but he decided instead to stay, continuing to guide Skywalker in his new mission with Qui-Gon. So it would instead be decided that Mace Windu will go to Kashyyyk and help fight in the coming battle with the Wookiees. When the topic of Palpatine came up, Anakin was definitely even more intrigued than usual. The council told Anakin that they suspect Sidious is working closely with Palpatine, whether the Chancellor actually knows it or not, and they need to somehow get close to Palpatine to figure out the truth. Anakin asked what they were asking of him exactly, and Obi-Wan answered, saying that they want Anakin to monitor the Chancellor's communication and movements as this war comes to a close. It is only a matter of time until Grievous is located, and the Chancellor's reaction to that information will bring them closer to the answers they seek. Anakin didn't like it one bit, but he was grateful to the Council for making him a master. He didn't mind spending more time with Palpatine, even if it was as a spy. So, Anakin accepted the mission begrudgingly. Above all, he was happy to be accepted by the Council Masters. The meeting would soon end, and Obi-Wan would take Anakin aside into a private meditation center to ask if he was truly alright with this new mission. Anakin brushed off the question, and instead he completely changed the subject, asking Obi-Wan how he was so easily able to get over the death of his master. Obi-Wan's expression shifted from confusion to genuine intrigue, as he told Anakin he never got over Qui-Gon's death, but rather he chose to celebrate his master's life while still mourning him. Obi-Wan said that he, like Anakin, has always struggled with letting go of attachments, But he has grown to understand that the only way to move on is to live as those who have passed would wish for you to live. Continue their legacy, their work, even after death, and it will be like they are still here living on. Anakin gave a faint smile. It was, as always, a wise answer from his former master. And Anakin cheekily asked what Obi-Wan would do if he ever lost Anakin. Obi-Wan smiled back, telling Anakin he's seen him escape death far too many times to ever worry about losing him. The two of them went their separate ways, and something deep inside of Anakin whispered that it may not be death that someday tears them apart from each other. It wasn't a voice from the Force like Qui Gon, who Anakin still couldn't believe he spoke with. It was something different, something dark. But he shook it off, and he went to meet Palpatine. With every moment that Anakin would spend with Palpatine, he was laser focused in on what Qui Gon told him. It's very possible that his dreams, his fears, were being exploited by the Sith, and the darkness here on this planet. And because Anakin was aware of this, he was able to get rid of his blinders regarding Palpatine, and actually look at him through the Force. The Jedi were right. The dark side surrounds the Chancellor, and Anakin knew deep down that soon, the Sith will reveal themselves. Palpatine remarked a couple times that Anakin seemed rather distracted, but Anakin just brushed it off, not letting Palpatine pry into his feelings. He trusted what Qui-Gon said, and before long, another council meeting would be held, as Anakin learned the location of General Grievous. He was hiding away on Utapau, and Anakin was actually hoping to not be selected for this mission. He wanted to end this war, once and for all, and he felt deep down that would happen here on Coruscant. So, when Obi-Wan was selected, Anakin was relieved, and he shared a nice moment with Obi-Wan before he took off to fight Grievous. But with Obi-Wan gone, it was as if a safety rail protecting Anakin's worst fears fell away, and instead his worries began to return. He visited Padme, having another vision of her dying, so Anakin would instead return to the temple, finding himself inside of the temple archives. He wasn't even sure what he was looking for, but as master he was able to enter into the restricted section, and Anakin began looking into immortality. There was little to be known here about living on even after death, but Anakin noticed a few key names he'd heard before in old Jedi legends, including the name Revan, which Anakin decided to learn more about at another time. For now, he decided to instead meditate, try once again to find Qui-Gon. His guidance and his presence was so soothing last time, and so Anakin tried again. For hours, he sat alone with the Force, searching for Qui-Gon, but all he got back was silence. The Force was dark, as if the currents were shifting to prepare for something that was yet to come. And right on cue, Yoda entered the room, requesting that Skywalker go to Palpatine, as Obi-Wan has begun fighting General Grievous. So, Anakin would go to Palpatine's office, and the final preparations for Palpatine's plans would begin. He would begin telling Anakin that he has power beyond any Jedi, and the Jedi fear his power. Sidious said he felt Anakin's power against Dooku, and that power can be used to save Padme from certain death. Anakin turned over to Palpatine, finally seeing the true face of Darth Sidious, and Anakin didn't know what to say. But Sidious continued, saying that together, the two of them can achieve a power that only one has learned before them. The power to cheat death, and to save people from dying. Anakin's mind immediately went to Qui-Gon, but he now recalled the tragedy of Darth Plagueis. He grabbed his lightsaber, ignited it, and told Sidious he lies. The Sith cannot save Padme. They only take life. They are evil. And Sidious told Anakin he's been fed lies for years from the Jedi. The Sith seek to take hold of the Force, use it for whatever they choose. It is their right. If that means saving Padme, then they will do it together. Anakin put away his blade, and he told Sidious he was going to tell the Jedi about this, to which Sidious said that is the Jedi way, and he gave Anakin a sinister smile. Anakin felt somewhat lost, but he got into his speeder, flew back to the temple, and inside of the temple hangar, Yoda stood completely alone. He looked to Anakin as if he knew exactly what he were about to say, and Anakin told the Grand Master the Jedi were right about Palpatine's involvement with the Sith, but he is the Sith Lord. Yoda's expression didn't change, as he told Anakin he felt the shift in the Force moments ago, as if Palpatine finally pulled back the curtain he'd been hiding behind. Yoda asked why Palpatine has revealed this truth, so Anakin told Yoda that Palpatine promised more power than Anakin could imagine. Yoda nodded slowly, then said a confrontation is now inevitable. This is always how it was meant to be. The greatest Sith versus the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, with the Chosen One in the middle. Yoda knew there was no keeping Skywalker away from this, so he told the boy to come. Together, they will defeat Sidious. The Dark Lord was waiting patiently when the two Jedi entered together, and he greeted Yoda with the fake kindness he always had. Yoda didn't say a word as he pulled his saber into his hand, ignited it, and told Sidious that this all ends today. Sidious ignited his own blade, and neither of them looked to Anakin. This would ultimately be his own choice, and now Jedi and Sith flew at each other as the red and green blades clashed through the office as a final act to this grand war, perfectly played out by Palpatine. The battle would move with a surge of pure, unbridled energy as Yoda leapt and swung towards Darth Sidious, his green blade flashing through midair. Sidious met this charge with the flash of his own crimson red, the clash of the sabers sending waves of sound and energy through the grand office. Furniture, statues were flung aside as the two titans of the Force exchanged their powerful blows. Yoda darted, spinning with unnatural speed, his movements a blur to the untrained eye, and Sidious countered with pure anger and fury in the dark side, his strikes fueled by the darkness and his boundless rage that he held for decades. The duel spilled across the room, and the desk was cut in half as Sidious spun across it to try and bring down Yoda. The Grandmaster flipped away, used the Force to throw a lantern at the Dark Lord, and the lantern exploded as Sidious's robes were on fire, and he continued on without hesitation. Sidious unleashed a storm of Sith lightning, crackling bolts tearing through the air, but Yoda absorbed them into his palm, and he sent the energy flying back. Sidious scowled as he flipped away from it, moved back in with the blade, blocking strikes at his legs, then his head within a second of each other. Yoda was putting everything he had into this, and Sidious laughed with glee and malice. In the corner of the room, Anakin Skywalker stood frozen, his mind a storm of conflicting emotions. The raw darkness radiating from Sidious was suffocating, yet it pulled to him, even after everything with Yoda and Qui Gon. The scars of his past, the promises of power, fears of loss, it all clouded his vision. The weight of his destiny bore down on Anakin, and for a moment, he faltered. Anakin moved to help Sidious, but suddenly the air grew still, and in this silence, he saw a faint, blue ghostly figure. Qui-Gon Jinn's ghost appeared to him, his gaze calm, filled with a quiet certainty. Qui-Gon's presence washed over Anakin, offering him needed clarity and confidence as to what to do. Qui-Gon told Anakin that he is the Chosen One, and the time to fulfill his destiny has come. Anakin saw that the Sith promise to save life after death was a lie. It was the Jedi who have achieved immortality, and it is the Jedi who will help save Padme. So Anakin ignited his lightsaber, joining Yoda in battle, and the two light side warriors were an unstoppable force. Sidious lashed out with his full power, summoning the dark side in a desperate bid to annihilate them. But together, Anakin and Yoda fought as one, the balance of their power overwhelming Sidious. Together, they forced the Sith Lord into a final stand, and with a final attack, they struck him down. The darkness that had shrouded the galaxy began to lift, and with it, Anakin's nightmares seemed to fade as well. It was over. Sidious was dead. Grievous was destroyed. Maul was captured, and the Separatists were pushed deep into hiding in the Outer Rim. When Anakin and Yoda made contact with Windu, the Jedi Master smiled for the first time in what felt like forever, and he immediately returned to Coruscant to help with addressing the Senate. It would take a long while, but eventually the Jedi would convince the Senate that they did what they had to do by killing Sidious. Anakin would sit with Padme in the Senate for a while, but when it was clear that the Senate would side with the Jedi, the two of them excused themselves, as Padme soon would go into labor, safely giving birth in the most prestigious Coruscant hospital, which was available to senators like Padme. The twins, Luke and Leia, would be born into a galaxy recovering from war, entering into a new era of peace. They were set to become Jedi, as the Skywalker family was set to help influence the galaxy for generations to come, and Anakin would go on to help Obi-Wan connect with Qui-Gon. It would be a wonderful moment for the trio, as Obi-Wan was reunited with his master, and Anakin and Obi-Wan would take the journey to achieve immortality together as brothers. And folks, that is our story for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. The Qui-Gon videos are always some of my favorite. Qui-Gon and Dooku, and heck, even Yoda. Some of the most fun characters to write. Not sure what it is, but yeah, I mean, I've talked with my friend PPSW, who I'm sure you guys have watched before. But yeah, we both agree, like Qui-Gon, Dooku, Yoda, and of course Anakin. But the other three, just because they're more rare to write about than Anakin, it's a lot of fun. And just taking Qui-Gon's kind of calm perspective, especially after his death as a Force ghost, it's difficult. It's difficult to like balance how he can kind of guide Anakin to answers without actually revealing them. So I hope I did that well. Hope I did that justice. Yeah, let me know what you thought. Let me know what you want to see next. As always, you can request down below. And yeah, when I'm scouring the comments, as I do, I write them down. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. And I'll see you in the next video.